going on, Sumolings? It is Chris here from AppSumo, and today I am joined with Siddharth from the Vaizle team. He is a co-founder there and also the Chief Marketing Officer. So we are going to be diving into Vaizle in just a minute. For those of you who don't know, Vaizle is a social media analytics tool for businesses that need simple, actionable insights. This is not your first time around on AppSumo, is it? You guys joined us. When was the last promotion we ran?
So it was in October of 2018. And so you can say almost just after a year, we are doing it again.
That's awesome. And it was very, very popular on AppSumo last time we ran it. Sumolings were loving it. So we're glad to have you guys back.
Same here, exactly.
Awesome. Well, two things before we dive into the walkthrough. Want to let all you Sumolings know. One, if you have any questions about Vaizle as we're going through this, you can drop those below the video on the Q&A box, and we will circle back to those. And number two, you have to jump out earlier, you miss anything, we'll be sending out a replay later so you can catch anything you missed there. But that is all I have. So Siddharth, if you want to take it over, turn your screen share on and start giving Sumolings a walkthrough.
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, I'm really excited to get this started. The last time we launched, it was an amazing experience, not just because we got some great customers, but we got tons of feedback on the product and we became the most reviewed product ever on AppSumo. I was looking at how we compared against the other deals, and it's absolutely fantastic. So hello everyone, and I would just like you to just write in the chat room where you are joining in from, just so everyone knows. And I'm coming here from India, Mumbai, and it's a very pleasant weather here. And I think in the next few minutes, we are going to talk about how Vaizle can add value into your lives. Hey Gay from Colorado, Greg from Las Vegas. Thanks everyone for joining in. And if you have any questions, meanwhile, while we are talking, you can just write it down in the webinar, and my teammate Nitin is online with me, who will be actually answering to your questions. And the things which are not answered during the chat, we can take some of the very important questions at the end of the webinar, and I'll try to make sure that I answer as many of them as possible. So the next thing you're going to see is my screen. I'm going to share it right now. There you go. So I hope you can see my screen now. Can you just type it in the chat if you can see it? So I'll be confirmed that we are starting. Okay, great guys. So let's get it started. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you about is myself. So I'm the co-founder and the chief marketing officer at Vaizle. So my experience is mostly in paid advertising, and what I have been doing is helping companies scale their businesses using Facebook ads and Google ads. And during my lifetime, I've managed over $15 million in ad budget, which has been spread across different kind of businesses ranging from e-commerce, finance, healthcare, and education. So during these few years, I have actually also got to know about the market, and that's where I'm bringing my experience for Vaizle, and I think we are consistently adding value to the product. So whatever you see in terms of the blogs on the website or the ad from Vaizle, you know that the mind behind is me. So you can also find me on LinkedIn, so I'm available there. And if you have any questions, you want to talk about something else, or just want to do an online hangout session, I'm always available for that. So although I know that you guys are clear about what we are going to talk about in the next 1 hour, I'll just set the context. So we're going to start talking about Vaizle specifically, and we will actually talk about how Vaizle will be able to contribute to your business, how you can actually use it to do things which will add value for your clients. And we're going to take a very specific case study, which is how you can win more clients and retain more clients using Vaizle. And most importantly, when we have discussed this, I'll show you how some of our customers have been actually able to do this after actually using Vaizle. And there are two case studies we'll be discussing. One is from Florida, and the second is for Pachico Consulting. And finally, we'll also discuss what are the other use cases Vaizle has. And lastly, future updates, what we are going to add in the next few months, next few years. So we have such long-term plans. And finally, questions. So I think when this is set, I think we are ready to get started. So moving ahead, why Vaizle? So there are a lot of tools in the market when it comes to social media competitive analysis. So one thing that I wanted to tell you from the outset, that Vaizle is not a scheduling tool. It's a social media and analytics tool which allows you to analyze any specific brand across the world just by entering its handle or its social media profile in the Vaizle account. And we do it for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So that's the first thing. If you are a social media agency, what you do is you go and try to check how the brand that you want to pitch to, or how the brand that you want to work for, how they are doing. So it actually saves you a ton of time if you want to pitch to someone. And all you have to do is simply enter their brand in the Vaizle account. The second important thing is it removes the automated tasks. So let's say you want to create report again and again for your client. And most of the times the report format is different across a set of the clients. I'm not saying if you have 10 clients, they're all receiving same kind of reports, but there must be around, you can say 5, 7, or maybe 8 clients who are seeing same kind of reports. So you can actually save those things as templates and share it with the clients. So this is again where you add a lot of value for agency, where you save the time. And one of the case study which we will be discussing later has this as their use case and a major advantage. Thirdly, you actually make your processes very efficient. So one thing that I always say to the agency businesses is, no matter how great work you do, at the end of the day, you have to convince to the client that the work you did actually added to the result. And there is always an experience associated while working with an agency. For someone, it can be the professionalism. For some, it can be the processes that are set up, whether how the client is receiving the report, how timely he or she is receiving that report. And it's going to be really valuable for any client when they understand that these guys are actually have everything under control. They are sending me reports on time. They are on the top of the game, and they understand what my competitors are doing. So I think the client management aspect is equally important. I think in Vaizle we have kind of mapped that journey. And lastly, it's ease of use. So while we are building Vaizle, my partner and my CEO, Nitin Jain, it was his idea to make the analytics tool so simple that anyone who is just starting out in the industry can use it. Because we audited a lot of marketing tools in the market, and what we found was there is tons of complexity involved while you go and try to learn a new tool. And we wanted to make it so easy. So one thing you will notice when you start using Vaizle is it just takes a few hours to become a pro at and navigating through the Vaizle itself. And I think when I will show you the demo, the actual walkthrough of the tool, I think you will also understand how easy it is. So let's move on and talk about our most important use case of today. This is how to win more clients and retain them better using Vaizle. And this is where I will actually take you to the tool and show you how you can win more and retain better. So let me just take you to the Vaizle account. So I have an account already set up for the ease, but since most of you are new, I will show you how the actual sign up process looks like. So I have an account where I actually added a code, the AppSumo code that you get after signing up, and created this account. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to authenticate. So this is the first thing when you sign up, you see on your screen the authentication of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm going to show you how you can authenticate Facebook, So when you click on authenticate, it asks you to log in. And when I log in, so this will actually demand, and when I click go login, so I just approve it from my mobile, and there you go. So it asks me to just authenticate that Vaizle can access some of my data, and once it is authenticated, you will see this green tick mark. And you can similarly do this for Twitter. So I simply authenticated Vaizle's own login credentials. And you see once this is authenticated for Twitter, the green mark has come on. You can similarly do it for Instagram and YouTube. Just to save your time for today, I'm going to skip this and move to the next step. But before I do that, I just wanted to recommend you that authentication is a very crucial step. It ensures that the data that is being fetched is fetched correctly, and everything in your account runs smoothly. So I would highly recommend you to authenticate all the social media profiles when you begin. So when I click on skip, I am taken to the next section where it asks me to add brand. And you can see on the right, you see the help section, and you can use it anytime by clicking here. Okay, so let me just add the first brand. So I just typed in Toyota, pressed enter, and you can see all the searches for Facebook, all the searches for Twitter, for Instagram, and for YouTube, they have appeared. Now all I have to do is select a few of them. So I'll select Toyota from Facebook. From Twitter, I'll select this Toyota. I don't want to select Toyota USA. Toyota for Instagram. And Toyota, let's say for our sake of purposes, let's use Toyota USA. And now I'll click on continue. So you can keep on adding more brands, which can be a competitor of Toyota or not. Or you can simply click on skip and move to the next step, right? So what I'll do is for our purposes, I will simply skip this, and I'll show you how you can actually go to the next section. So it takes a few seconds for the data to fetch and the graphs to build up. Okay, so you guys can see that Toyota has been added in it, and all the data and graphs have been built up. So I'll not waste time on adding the more competitors here. I'll take you to another window where I have already added Toyota, Bentley, Ford, and Tesla. And you can actually click on this drop down and see that how Bentley, Ford, Toyota, and Tesla looks like. Right? And you can see that I've added Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube for all of them. Since this is in gray, you can see that Toyota is actually my self brand. And now let's go back to the main objective, how to actually win more clients. So the first thing, what is the first thing that usually happens when you start interacting with the client? The first thing that happens is you want to actually build credibility with the client. You actually want to show them that you have studied their brand, you understand their competitors, you have a control over what these brands are trying to do. And you can actually do that by going into Vaizle account. So now I have added all the 4 brands. I can actually look at major changes or daily follower changes in their account, and I can actually see the brand engagement. So this is dashboard where you see the normal data points, and in the hashtags you can see that the Bentley and Land Cruiser and Supra, these are the most popular hashtags. You can actually see which is the most popular content type. So for instance, in this one, photo is the most popular content type, and video is again the most second most popular content type, followed by text. In the engagement content division, you can see which content type received the highest engagement. So 86% of engagement actually came from the photo content, and 12% of engagement came from the video content. So these are very important data points when you start talking to the client. And when the client is still in the prospecting phase, I wouldn't even call it a client. Now, the magic happens when you actually start to go deeper and go into cross-channel analysis. So cross-channel analysis is important because not all of our competitors provide that. And this is where you can actually get a holistic overview of what's happening in the social media sphere of the prospect that you are talking to. Now, for instance, in this case, let's say we are pitching Toyota, and you can see that we have all the graphs built up. And when you go into cross-channel section, these are the 4 graphs that you see, and on the right you see all the metrics. So when you are in the overview, it's a kind of a benchmarking graph where you compare your brand against the, you can say, the best among all of your competitors. So all the 3 competitors, this is Bentley, and this is the average of all the 4 brands combined. So one thing you can say for sure to the brand is your activity is really good. Hey Toyota, you are in fact posting 1.5 times more than all of your competitors. Whether it's giving the right kind of results, we'll go and check in the brand engagement section. But when you go into competitive analysis, you can actually see the individual performance of each and every brand. So you can see Toyota did 618, Bentley 401, Ford 214, and Tesla 117. And when you go into timeline, you can see the brand activity actually. And this is a very important graph because ultimately, because ultimately, sorry, I think Nitin, there is some noise coming from your side. Can you please check it? Yeah. So you can check that this timeline graph over a period of time. If you go into channel share, you can actually see that 39% of the content were actually posted on Instagram, 36% was posted on Twitter, 24% of the content was posted on Facebook. And this is again very important data point because you know where this activity that we saw is actually happening. Now, if you go into brand engagement section, you can see where the major engagement came from. So despite the fact that Twitter had like great activity, just 5% of engagement came from the platform. And similarly on Instagram, the major engagement is happening, right? And if you go into timeline, so again, this is a very interesting graph, and this is where you can make your pitch really interesting. So Toyota has a huge engagement, as we checked in the competitive analysis just now, almost 20 million engagement. But where is that engagement coming from? So if you see that there are 4 to 5 different peaks, so you can go back and see what was special on these days. And in fact, the Toyota is in fact leading because of these 5 to 6 days. So this is important that you go back and try to see why it happened. And similarly, when it comes to Tesla, you can see that most of the engagement happens somewhere around 23rd of November. And maybe this is the day they launched their truck, right? So this kind of brand engagement chart actually helps you to go deeper and relate the brand activity with brand engagement for maximum understanding of the brand's performance. You can even sort the content according to the content types. So let's say you want to see which brand received the maximum comments. And when I do that, applause is for likes, amplification is for shares, and conversation is for comments. So you can see Tesla is certainly better than many of its other competitors. In fact, it's almost comparable to Toyota. And when it comes to understanding which brand is actually communicating with its customers or able to generate communication from its customers, Tesla is like way ahead than Bentley and Ford Motors. And you can also do this for a specific content, right? Whether you want to check it for video, photos, text, you can also do this. This third important metric that we have is video engagement, and we have kept it separated because video views is usually counted as engagement. So when you go into brand engagement, video views are not accounted for here, and in video engagement, the actual video views are accounted for. So that's why when we go into video engagement, you see suddenly Tesla is way better than Toyota itself. And this is a very, very interesting point, because when you think about video marketing, it's totally different from social media marketing. It's an up and coming field, and this is where Tesla is leading the battle. Right, so the other important metric are fans change and fans total, where you can actually see how the total number of fans changing over time, and this data starts becoming available since the day you added the brands in it. Fans total is the same data where you can see how the total number of fans are changing over a period of time. And in the hashtag, you can see the most popular hashtags from each and every brand. And you can even drill down it for, let's say, just one brand if you want to. And you can check it to the next pages, as many as there are. So yeah, so this is how you can actually understand what a brand is trying to do on a cross-channel level. But it starts getting interesting when you go into, let's say, individual channels. So right now we are checking it for Facebook, and we have all the brands selected again. And I want to see where the brand engagement is coming from. So we just noticed in the previous cross-channel section that 20 million engagement was for Toyota. That was total engagement, but 17.57 of that engagement is coming from Facebook itself. What this practically means is on other social media channels, Toyota is probably not doing as good as it looks like. So this is a great opportunity if we talk about Instagram, or if we talk about Twitter, or if we talk about YouTube. And if you are a social media marketer who is pitching to Toyota, you can actually take this data and tell Toyota that there are things that you are missing out on. You are actually missing out on comments. You are missing out on generating responses from your customers. And similarly, even in Facebook, you have other data points like video engagement, fans change total, talking about change, talking about total, and hashtags. And you can even find this another important data points, for instance, brand response, how many times you responded to your customers, and which is very specific for Twitter only. So now that you understand, and when you're trying to win a new client, you understand what is happening on the social media affair, you also want to present it to the client. Knowing is one thing, and how you represent it to the client is another. So that's why we have created a reporting section where you can actually go out and start creating reports. Okay, so when you go into reporting section, what you see is all the reports that you have already created will be available here. And you can simply, if it exceeds over 10, you can change it and go to, let's say, 20 or 50th or 5th page specifically. And there are certain actions that you can do with all the reports that you have created. And I will go to that at the end of the video. Let's start creating a new one, and the data that we looked at, let's try to make it relevant for the person you are pitching to. So number one thing is there are two sections to the reports. In the center, you see the preview, and on the right, there are all the customizability where you can make the changes in how the report looks like. So in the center, you can see that I can change the logo. So I've already used the logo of my agency, so I just added it. And I can change the title of the report. So let's say I just want to create a cross-channel analysis report. So when I change the title, it's changing in real time in the preview itself. And I want to add my own name because it adds a lot of context. So the prospect actually knows who I'm talking to. And if I just change the date, I just want to do it for December, month of December. There you go. So when I change the date, you can see the dates have also changed. Now, if I go into the brand section, I can actually select and deselect brand. For instance, if I remove Bentley, you see in the preview Bentley has been removed, but I want to create it for all the brands combined, right? Now, modules, Facebook is selected. I want to deselect it. Oh, at least one module must be selected. So I'll select cross channel first, and then I'll deselect Facebook because I want to create a report for cross channel. So you can see there are just 2 pages, and in the last page, all the metrics that you add, its explanation will be added automatically. Let me show you how this works. So if you go into cross channel, you can add brand activity for all content type. There you go. So when I clicked here, this brand activity, all the 4 graphs that I just showed you appeared automatically here. Just a single click and your graphs are built. So that's how easy it is to add on pages, and it becomes very, very easy because you had actually taken a look at the data. You simply have to go and make a click to add that particular section in the report. And I want to add brand engagement for all content type. And when I do that, you can see brand engagement for all content type has appeared, right? So this is an amazing development in creating the reports. And you can also go out and add comments in the report, which is extremely important. Now that you have the ability to tell the client that I understand the data, but by adding comments, you can actually tell the client that I know what this data actually means. So you can write, this report is awesome. Let me make it a huge so you can see it. So this note that I just added was automatically added in the brand activity section. And I can even change the insight that is adjacent with every graph. How can I do that? So from choose edit notes, I'll select the overview graph, and I will write, this graph is awesome, which I am sure it is. So when I click on this graph is awesome, it's built, right? So that's how you can add your comments into report and make it highly contextual when you are making the pitch. And I'm confident that this will win over your client, right? Now, once you're sure that how your report looks like is perfect the way you want it to be, you can simply click on this yellow button and it will be downloaded. Just to give you a more clarity, I have already created a report, and this is how it looks like. And with all the comments in here, you can see that it's a 6 or 7 pages report and all the metrics that we had created here. Now the report that we had created has been downloaded. Let me just open it up. And you can see, I can see the cross-channel analysis. So it's exactly the way we just created it in the report itself. So that's how easy it is to build reports in Vaizle. And if you go back to reports, you can see the report that we had named has appeared here. Now, once you have built it, you also want to be sure that how you want to share it with the client. So one thing is you actually download it, but in case you don't want to, you can simply click this PDF and simply type it. And every time you do that, it will be automatically downloaded here. So basically, when you create the report, you have complete control over how you want to share it. You don't need to download it and then share it and then upload it in an email with the client to share, or maybe when you're talking internally within the team, don't need to upload on Slack. And another important feature that is you can actually share it with a live link. So it's a very interesting feature. Just watch out what happens when I copy it and click here. this cross-channel analysis report, the way you were seeing in Preview Builder, it's actually building itself. Now, what's interesting about this? Let me just give you a view. Let me just zoom in it. So your client will actually see the report in this way. Now, when he takes the pointer here, let me zoom in a little more. When he takes the pointer to a graph, he can actually see number 62, for instance. And when he takes here, it's 51.2. And similarly, when he takes here, it's 39, it's 98. So the client can actually see the numbers when he hovers it over the graphs. So this makes the experience. So this is what we meant when we said that the experience is extremely important when the client is working with your agency. So you can do this, and every single report that you have created, you can actually recreate it. I'm going to show that, but before it, I want to take to this Smart Insights section. So again, now you know that you can actually close a client very easily by going into cross-channel, understanding the data, creating the report, and sending it to the client. Now, when it's come to actual work, how you can retain it. So we have actually created two amazing features. So one was a report where you can actually keep on creating the reports again and again by duplicating them. And you can actually use one report as a template and then recreate reports just by changing the brand itself. And I'm going to show you that as well in a few moments. But for instance, again, talking about retention, you are always on the top of your game when you are spying on your competitor. So for instance, I have added to it and all the brands. Now, when I go into this section, I can actually see all the latest posts which were shared a few minutes or few hours back. So I have always control over what the competitors are posting. But I want to see which content was most popular. So if I go into engagement, I can actually see all the top posts which received the highest engagement. So you can see Toyota is leading the game. I can see that there are two mountains with car of what color, what Toyota is actually trying to represent in the cars, and try to qualitatively change my report or bring the qualitative analysis into the picture as well. The another important thing is if you want to sort it according to a certain engagement type, you can also do that. Or you can go into conversation. And oh, this is absolutely. So if you notice when we went into engagement, Toyota's content was on the top. When I go into conversation, you can see Tesla is outperforming almost everyone. So it has received most conversations, and amplification is 0 because you know it is Instagram, and Instagram there's no such thing, or shares are not specifically counted. If there is a video, you can actually play itself here. You don't need to actually go to the page and actually play the video and check it there. You can see all the posts here itself. Even a Ford's video is in the top when it comes to comments. So when you want to create a conversational content where you want to generate responses from the users, this is the best place to create the content. Get the ideas for your content itself. So I think you can actually retain your clients better when you give them better content suggestions and you keep telling them what kind of activity the competitors are doing. You can also go into best time to post, and you can see it is according to different content types that you can see it, and for each and individual channel itself. So if I go into Twitter, the content calendar will be entirely different than what I saw in Facebook, and for Instagram, it will be entirely different. And when I go into engagement type, I can actually see that there are different benchmarks, the way it is in the cross-channel section and Facebook section for engagement types. So for amplification, conversation, and applause, I'm creating benchmarks as well. Yeah, it takes some time to actually load the graphs. So there it is. And the final section is insights. So in the insights section, you can actually look at what you need to do with the social media account on a day-to-day basis. What is the best time to post? What is the length of the post you should be doing? And it is optimized for each and every channel. So for Instagram, you need to use 21 different hashtags, and the optimal keywords to use in Instagram, which basically means the length of your post should be somewhere between 35 to 37 keywords. So this is an amazing section if you want to refurbish your content strategy over a period of time and want to keep improving over and over again. And this is where you can actually retain your clients more. If I go into report section again, I'm talking about retention again. You simply need to, once you created the report, let's say for one client, the chances are you want to create it again and again over a period of time, maybe weekly or monthly, depending upon on your engagement with the client. Or secondly, what you need to do is you just need to create the report for a different client. So how to do that? Simply go into duplicate report section, and you will see you will have that duplicate report. Now, if you want to create it for, let's say, 4 different brands, you need to select them. So let's say you wanted to create it for Toyota versus Ford Motor. I just deselected them, and let's say I want to create it for last week. So let's say from 19 to 25. So this report I practically created in less than 30 seconds. And that's how you are saving time every time you're creating a report in here. And interesting thing is you can create unlimited reports. There is no bar as to how many reports you can create in Vaizle. So basically you have templates for every single kind of activity that you're doing for the client. Now, if this is not enough for retention, I have another interesting feature with you for you in landscape, which is called groups. So if you have, let's say, 50 different kind of brands added in Vaizle, which is for cases for people who are using over 100 different profiles. So I have created a group called electric cars, and managing different clients and their competitors become difficult if the number increases over, let's say, 10, 20, 30, or maybe, as I said, 100. So what you can do is you can arrange these different brands into a single group. For instance, I've created a group called electric cars. It has brands Bentley Motors, Toyota, and Tesla. And if I go into dashboard, how to access the groups, you can actually go into the group section and select all the groups that you have created. So here you will see that there is no other fourth brand, which was Ford Motors. And all the 3 brands that I wanted to be in the group are part of the group. So I can keep coming back to the client and its competitors just by arranging them in a certain group section. Right. So just to summarize what I told you in the last few minutes is you can actually create a great report. You can analyze a prospect that you're trying to pitch to, and you can make sure that when you pitch, you understand what is happening with the prospect and its competitors. So you can actually improve your pitch with every single information that you are bringing on board. And you can retain the clients by creating reports and replicating them again and again for different clients or different period of time, depending upon your level of engagement. And you can go into smart insights section and always be improving your content strategy as you are managing the client. Now, once this is done, I think I'm ready to go back to the presentation. And I want to talk about 2 specific case studies of our customers. So one is Pacheco Consulting. And while I'm doing this, this case study will be shared to you by my teammates in the chat section. So first is from Pacheco Consulting. So Pacheco Consulting is a digital marketing consulting company which provides data-driven digital marketing to global brands. And they have an amazing client list ranging from Johnson & Johnson to Tackle Trading and Energy Bids. So before Vaizle, what they were trying to do is they had different kind of prospects and clients they were pitching to, and they would use these long sheets. They would go to individual social media channels, get the data, and compile them into big spreadsheets. And it was very time consuming. Like they were spending almost 2 to 3 hours just to create these reports. And and despite that, their data was not complete because a lot of processes were manual. And since they started using Vaizle, they were able to cut down time. And Michael Pacheco actually gave us some really encouraging feedback, and we have been actually trying to improve Vaizle. So Pacheco actually improved Michael Pacheco was actually able to increase the returns they got in Vaizle by working on by saving time on creating the reports and working on the individual accounts. The same was the case with Sida Flower. So they provide blogging and social media services to their clients. And one thing we didn't notice was you can actually use Vaizle if you are just working on a single channel. Even if you're working for Instagram, let's say, it's a great place to start. So before you see that they actually deployed all of their effort on Instagram only, and what they were actually generating from Instagram increased to 40% after they signed up on Vaizle. And it's also a success story, and it will be shared with you in the chat section by my teammates. And there have been many actually. And right now we have over 2,000 plus customers already from 90 plus countries. But yeah, apart from getting new clients or retaining them, there is so much more you can do with Vaizle. Now, one thing is, if you want to audit an account, I'm not talking about creating a report, I'm talking about getting on a conversational level before you actually meet to a prospect. So let's say your call is scheduled in, let's say, 30 minutes from now. What you'll do, just enter the social media profile of any brand in the world, and it hardly takes 10 minutes to actually look at all their important data points and understand what are the gaps that you need to fill. Then you can also improve your social media content strategy. As I told you about Smart Insights section, it allows you to go deeper and do qualitative analysis. Similarly, you can always spy on your competitors in the Smart Insights section as well. You can also do SWOT analysis, look at the gaps, the strength and the weaknesses, and how you can improve, how you can tap into the opportunities in the next few months, or let's say next few weeks, depending upon the length of the campaign that you plan. And as I said, it's important to look at one social media at a time. But when you're getting that cross-channel overview, that's when you're getting a comprehensive view of a brand social media performance. And Vaizle allows you to do that. And if I look at the, you can say subset of it, you can also look at video marketing individually. It allows you to look at video marketing data differently. And one important use case in the end I want to talk about is influencer marketing campaigns. So our customers actually found this, that while they were actually using the tool for improving the social media performance or winning new clients, they can actually use Vaizle to create influencer marketing campaigns. So let's say you have a limited budget of $10,000 or $20,000, which is always the case. Budget is always limited. How to actually spend it on a series of influencers for maximum returns. So what some of our customers, what they did was they added this 100 different influencers into Vaizle and try to rate them based on their level of engagement, their activity, and how consistent that engagement was. So it's also important to understand whether that influencer is getting engagement consistently. So they were able to break it down, and they were able to actually select the top influencers which will give them the maximum return. So if you look at it with Vaizle, you can almost do anything as far as social media is concerned. But that's not where we'll be limited to in future. So if I talk about future updates, I mean, in the past 1.5 years since launching Vaizle on AppSumo for the first time, we have delivered so much. The first time we launched, we didn't even have Instagram. And in just 2 months' time after launching the deal, we delivered Instagram. And since then, we have been making consistent improvement, bug fixes, making reporting tool even smoother, launching the free Facebook ad analysis tool, improving the UI UX. We are also coming up with some interesting features in the next few months. And one of the feature we already have mentioned to customers is Facebook ad analysis. We have launched the free tool itself. And by the end of April, you will be seeing Facebook ad analysis. And I think that will be a great value addition for almost all the agencies, because those who do social media marketing, they are almost involved in advertising aspect as well. So organic is one and the paid is one. So this year our plans is actually go into the paid side and make the tool even more comprehensive. You can go into our product map and look at all the development that we have done in the past, and you can also rate for the features that are already available. So we have great planning of what we are planning to do in the next 1 or 2 years, and I think together we can make this an amazing tool. So I would like to end my talk before questions at the final view of the Vaizle deal. So right now you can see that we are offering different plans with the ability to stack the codes. So if you buy one, you get almost everything, and with every single purchase, the profiles are actually, you can say, added as it was in the first plan, or the single code was offering. So if you had one code, you had 30 profiles and 10 swaps. Now, if you just buy 3, you have 60 profiles and 20 swaps as well. So which kind of doubles. Now, one thing that we are doing is, if you are buying 3 or more than 3 profiles, we are offering Facebook ad analytics. And this is important because I think you will need more profiles for Facebook ad account, which we feel that sometimes client comes and go and you have to add all these different Facebook ad accounts. So that's why we are offering Facebook ad analytics for people who are buying more than 3 codes. So yeah, so I hope that you like the presentation, and this will actually enable you to use Vaizle better. But if you have any questions, you can ask now. I'm ready to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for going through all that, Siddharth. Yeah, for everyone on here, you can see that Natan just shared the roadmap in the chat. So if you want to check that out, you can see that there. But I do see a couple questions that have come through. One of them is somebody saying, what plan should I buy if I'm an agency? I am an agency and I want to use Vaizle as an agency. So how many codes or what plan should I purchase if I want to use it for that?
All right. Yeah. So this is a very interesting question. So it all depends upon how long do you think you are going to work as an agency, and secondly, how many clients there will be under your ambit, and how many pitches you are making every single week or every single month. So let's say if you are making 5 pitches in a month, which I think is a very genuine number, you are going to need at least 5 profiles. And if you are doing competitive, which I would strongly recommend, which is why the tool is, you need at least 2 more competitors for each of the pitches. So that kind of takes your tally to somewhere around 15 profiles in a single month. But there's a limit to number of profiles with each code. So if you are looking to, let's say, just serve the clients and don't want to do pitches, somewhere around 2 codes would be sufficient for you. But if you want to do consistent pitches and you do it over a period of time again and again and again, I would recommend you will need at least 3 codes to begin with.
Awesome. Excellent. And I've seen another person asking, will this webinar be available for replay? Yes, it will. We'll be sending that out either later today or early tomorrow. It just depends on when the video finishes processing. So that is for you, Sam. Next question. How many competitors can you have in there? And does each competitor profile count against the 30-60 limit or just ours?
Okay. So it all depends upon how many competitors you think are important. So let me put this in context. So let's say there's an innovative startup that comes up, and we're talking about, let's say, 10 years from now, Uber launched. Now, Uber's marketing manager said, I want to study my competitors, but there are just 2. So you cannot imagine like having 5 different competitors or 10 different competitors. But my estimate is, and it's based on what I have personally worked on Vaizle and from our feedback from the customers, anywhere between 2 to 3 competitors are enough, because the more competitors you have, it will become extremely difficult for your analysis. And it depends upon how much the client is paying you, whether you want to spend that kind of time and money on it or not. So I think 2 to 3 competitors are enough, but if you want to add more competitors, you can certainly add it.
Awesome. Great. Okay. Someone is asking, can we transform to PDF the top posts?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think I didn't share it, but there is in the reporting section, if you go into cross channel, you can actually click on a certain section. Let me just actually show it. It will take less than 30 seconds. So let me just go to the report section here, and let me try to edit this one. Not edit, actually duplicate this one. So if I go into the cross channel, which I was trying to create report for, and I try to add top posts based on engagement, you can see all these top posts will appear here. You can see that, and its link is also available. So as you see, if you can click here and actually go to the report. So this will be part of the PDF itself. So you can see all the top posts have come in, and that is, so in a page usually 6 comes in, and you have all the engagement data for all the posts here.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. Sam is saying, if the data only goes back 6 months, how can we do a year-over-year analysis for a client if you've had them for longer than a year?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So again, if you want to do a year data, like we offer custom plans, so that's totally different. Like it's the enterprises clients which generally need it, so we haven't kind of opened it up. But most of the social media channels, in fact, don't allow you to go after 6 months. For instance, YouTube doesn't allow us to go after a certain period of time back in time. So that's why we can't go there. But usually it's a very specific requirement of the clients. And if someone needs it, they can reach us out, certainly. We would love to do that. But again, that's totally a custom plan, because we have to do a lot of backend changes to make sure that you get the data for last 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. All right. Daniel is asking, what does profile swaps actually mean? Can I swap all 30 profiles 10 times per month, or can I just swap 10 of the 30 profiles?
Very interesting question. So let me actually again show this by sharing the screen. That will make it more contextual. Okay, so you can see I've already added 4 by 4, that is like 16 different profiles. So 4 profiles for each of the brands. So that is like 16 profiles if I talk about here. And I have 10 swaps in my account, which is exactly what we are offering in the AppSumo plan, right? Now, when I want to delete a brand, let's say I felt that I don't want to compare against Tesla, I will delete the brands by simply clicking here. Or Tesla is part of the electric group. So actually, if you are part of a group, you can't delete it like this. I will try to delete Ford Motors. So it says force swap will be used. So force swap basically means is I'm removing 4 brands that I had, 4 profiles that I had added. Now I'm going to replace it with something else, right? So when I click here, OK, you will notice that these 4 swaps have been used. But next time, when you add the brand, you will have profiles increased as well. So 4 profiles were removed from here, but they from the swaps were removed from here, but they were actually increased in the profiles left. So basically, what is happening is now you have ability to add more brands, and these swaps, these 10 swaps, it will refresh every single month. So if you have 10 swaps this month, by the end of or by the beginning of next month, you have 10 swaps again in your account. So this is the concept of swaps, but you cannot these profiles that you have used, it will always be like that. If you have used 10 profiles, it will means that you have used 10 of your profiles. You can simply if you want to remove a brand, you need to have swaps in your account to be able to change it.
Okay, excellent. Next question. If we pay for the 3+ codes, which includes Facebook ad analysis, will that also include the LinkedIn and Google Analytics integration when they do become available?
Absolutely. So all the updates that are going to come in the Vaizle, we are making sure that AppSumo customers also get the experience of it. So everything that is going to be in Pro Plan is going to be available to the AppSumo customers, and certainly it is going to be there.
Awesome. Excellent. All right. Well, that is the end of the time we have and the end of the questions that we have. So, Siddharth, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on and go through all of this. Really appreciate it. And thank you guys again for bringing this deal back to AppSumo. I know Sumolinks are really excited about it as well.
Absolutely. So it's been an amazing experience, and so much thanks to everyone who have been here, and thanks to AppSumo team as well. Like they are amazing to work with.
We
So
appreciate
yeah,
that. Thank you. Well, for all the Sumolinks on here or watching the replay, Vaizle is available in AppSumo in the store right now, starting off at just $69 for lifetime access. And again, it's all backed by the AppSumo 60-day guarantee. So feel free to get it set up, play around with it, see what kind of results you can get. And if you have any questions, you can drop those on the AppSumo deal page. And I'm sure you can also hit up the Vaizle team directly with any other questions. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. Siddharth, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you all soon.
absolutely, Chris. Thank you,
All right.
guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.